Stakes is high. Turn 30. We're going to react to a video by Def Goldblum.
In 1996, De La Soul released their fourth album at a time when stakes were at their highest for the group and hip-hop at large. 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul is Dead, and Balloon Mind State are 3 masterpieces of the Daisy Age.
This is true. For a long time, Balloon Mind State was my favorite De La Soul album. Increasingly, it's becoming De La Soul is Dead, though.
Each produced by Prince Paul and
shout out to Prince Paul,
radiating pride, positivity, and creativity. But in the 3 years between Balloon Mind State and their fourth album, a lot had changed. The group had parted ways with Prince Paul, the Native Tongues were no longer actively collaborating much anymore, and hip-hop had begun its ascent into the mainstream. So on this fourth album, De La Soul had to prove to everyone who they were now without Prince Paul, and that quality hip-hop could still thrive in the late 90s. And in July of 1996, De La Soul released their final masterpiece and one of hip-hop's best albums ever, Stakes is High. The first 3 De La Soul records had a distinct sound to them, but they all had a similar positive and free feeling.
I would not call De La Soul is Dead positive. Even Balloon Mind State is not. There's some uplifting songs on it, but I would not, however, call it positive.
Which mostly came from their producer, Prince Paul. But starting with their second,
I think what Paul brought was a level of, the words that are popping into my head are wacky and zany, but those aren't quite it. Whimsy. Paul brought the whimsy. So this album from De La Soul is markedly less whimsical.
Album De La Soul is Dead, the 3 main members of the group were craving something more mature, to make something with more gravitas and exemplify the depth of their artistry. The push and pull between that desire to grow and the playful sound that they started with is a part of the thing that made their second and third albums so great. But for Stakes is High, they knew it was time to fully mature into the 3 artists that they were always destined to be. For as long as I've been a De La Soul fan, I've always viewed Stakes is High as the 4th best album from them. But as I get older and older, this album gets...
You know, the thing is, for me, Stakes is High was so different that it almost felt like a different group. So I look at their albums in those phases, and I would say that I probably enjoy Stakes is High, Balloon Mind State, and De La Soul is Dead equally, but all in different ways.
Gets better and better. On this album, Pasta Noose, Dave, and Maceo take pride in who they are. Gone are most of the skits and the chaos that helped make their early albums unique, and here is their most patient showing yet, a record that meets hip-hop where it is at in 1996, completely changed.
Urkel Modani, that's a great point. It is very much like Bizarre Ride versus Lab Cabin California. It felt like the evolution felt so... It was just they're a very different group between those 2 albums. And so it feels like apples and oranges to even compare them.
But De La Soul dedicated this album to meeting the stakes in front of them and proving to hip-hop that they are still De La Soul. They stopped working with Prince Paul on this album and produced a majority of it themselves, with a handful of tracks produced by DJ OG, Spearhead X, Skeff Anselm, and even Jay Dilla himself, who at the time was going by JD. This new direction with the production gives this album a more bass-forward, slightly more laid-back feeling to it.
And this album, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember which came first. Was it Stakes is High, or was it Beats, Rhymes, and Life that came first? Because they have a similar sound, because JD is part of both of them, even though JD, I only think he did like 1 or 2 songs off of Stakes is High. I do feel like the sort of darker, more street-oriented turn for, you know, the Native Tongues groups was between Stakes is High and Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
But with just as much personality as their first 3. The beats definitely feel of their time, but without feeling aged. They met 1996 hip-hop exactly where it was at, and proved that they could do it better than anyone. The album opens up with chopped up
Woo!
interviews
I love this
of people
intro.
talking about the first time they heard classic hip-hop albums, calling back to the hip-hop era that De La Soul was birthed in. This whole album is a reflection of the current
Wait a minute. Are you serious? That this dropped and then Beats, Rhymes, and Life dropped 2 weeks later? Wow. Because that's like an all-time, what would we say? I guess it would be a testament to how much these groups had grown apart that they wouldn't even be like informing their record labels on when things would be coming out, because that's so close together and it's not giving either of them really the proper amount of room in the marketplace. It's crazy they overlap like that. I never put that together, or I don't remember that in real time.
State of rap at the time. So it's a great starting point to bring us back to where it all started. Then when the beat kicks in, it's just a break beat with the ringing, repeated sound of an old school DJ screaming all right. And in that very first verse, Pasta Noose declares De La Soul to be here to stay like racism, meaning that they aren't going.
Yeah, I do remember Enter the Woo and Midnight Marauders came out the same. Not that I didn't like go buy them the same day or nothing like that, because I was like 13. But that's less surprising to me, because the Woo and the Native Tongues were completely different camps, and Woo was new. For Midnight Marauders, I mean not Midnight Marauders, for Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and Stakes is High. Like, this is both of their fourth album, to be coming out within weeks. That speaks to a real disconnect to me between the communication that probably should have been happening between those groups, and making sure that each album had its own space to shine.
Going anywhere. And that flows directly into the first real track here, which is Super MCs, which continues the theme that has these two elite masters of ceremony contemplating whatever happened to all the real MCs. For as long as hip-hop has been popular, there's always been artists making music criticizing certain aspects of it, and that criticism has perhaps never been done as artfully as here. As the MCs and hip-hop have changed over these 7 years, since they came out with their debut, the business of hip-hop has changed a lot.
And he's saying this over the beat to the business.
And on track 3,
I see you, Def.
The business, they rap about separating themselves from the popular rappers who have chosen the money side of the business over the music itself. The features.
Wait, Low End Theory came out the same day as Nevermind, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and Trompe Le Monde. So I wouldn't hear Trompe Le Monde till probably a good 10 years after it came out. Nevermind and Blood Sugar Sex Magic. I got both of those for Christmas that year. I think that was 92. Or it must have been 91. And I wouldn't hear Low End Theory until maybe 3 years after that as well.
On this album are all heavy hitters, and on this song they got Common, and together over this incredible beat, which is one of my favorite that De La Soul has ever rapped on. This song is a late stage Native Tongues masterpiece. As Super MCs, Pos, and Dave are not just here to make informed criticisms about the state of things, they also take notes from hip-hop's party roots and drop some bangers that are just here to show that they can still rock in the spot. Songs like Once Again Long Island or the super smooth Didn't It feel like the group showing that they don't need to be dropping these abstract double entendres and concept records.
Hey yo, on the QLS interview with Pos tells the story of why the beat for The Business is called The Business. It's a great story. And I won't tell it, so you go to the pod and check it out. But it being called The Business is a shot aimed at Biz Markie, which I had no idea about. And that's also why it's spelled BIZNESS.
To make some heat, but at the same time proving that to make accessible rap music, you don't need to be preaching negativity, and you can still write about the good things in life. The Breaks brings Curtis Blow's classic into the 90s with a handful of really great energetic verses from the MCs.
Yeah, the Run DMC story was great.
And a beat that continues this run of butter. Every single instrumental on here fits so well under the umbrella of the album as a whole, but each brings their own thing to have this album always staying fresh throughout its entire runtime. The group's songwriting in general is just on another level here. With them.
Why is Pos playing one-on-one basketball with Jerry Stackhouse in this video? We didn't question this enough. This is some audacity on Pos's behalf to be playing against Jerry Stackhouse UNC star and NBA star in a one-on-one for this music video. That's nuts. This whole video should have been Jerry Stackhouse blocking his shots and picking his pockets.
Producing most of the album and feeling like this is their showcase as a trio for the first time. They just feel so composed on every track and confident with every piece of it. Dog Eat Dog is a song that really just became one of my favorites over the past few years. Their hook writing is incredible, with this earworm that shows some singing chops from the group that I didn't even really know was there before this. And there's little flourishes in the mix throughout the whole project that brings the whole thing together. On this song specifically, there's that little call and response to the singing, saying no doubt and I'm out. And it all just feels so hip hop and so alive. Baby, 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 ooh baby is a very
I never liked the ooh baby joint, but I didn't. Never mind.
Interesting track here, as it comes right in the middle of the album.
That's a parody song, I'm pretty sure.
And sounds pretty out of place. It even starts with somebody calling the track bullshit before the music even starts.
Hence the parody status.
But I always found this to be a commentary on the state of mainstream rap, taking a direct, barely flipped sample of a popular song and making a rap hit out of it, Puffy style. This song is way more 80s hype feeling than the rest of it, with them rapping over Hobo Scratch by Malcolm McLaren. Aesthetically, I've always found that this one would have maybe fit better on De La Soul is Dead, but thematically it really fits well here and is a nice little bridge halfway through the album. Pasta Noose and Dave are two of the most respected MCs to ever live, and anytime you listen to a De La Soul album, hearing their chemistry on display is what makes it so special. I do think that Paz is often viewed as the leader of the group, but I do just want to shout out how great Dave is on this one. While Pasta Noose really stole the show on Balloon Mind State,
Friendly Times, thank you for 11 months.
Stakes
Oh, that native tongue shirt, I want one.
I always felt to me like the album where Dave separated himself as one of the best MCs in the world at that moment. His verses on Dog Eat Dog, Long Island Degrees, and Better Listen always spoke to me as something truly special, and all led up to his incredible work on the song It's So Easy. This is the rare De La Soul song performed entirely by Dave, and it's always been one of my favorites from the group's entire catalog. From the incredibly catchy hook, to the amazing verses that reflect on the effects of money and fame, to the laid-back, matter-of-fact voice that he delivers it all with. It's a true showcase of everything he has to offer. I'm not sure if this is the best De La Soul album, but I do think from a technical rapping standpoint, this is where both MCs are at their best. Throughout this whole album, the low-down rock that is the voice of Dave is the perfect foundation for Pasta Noose to swing in and rattle off some really amazing verses as well.
Yes, another great, as GUR says in the chat, another great story about this beat comes from that QLS interview with Pasta Noose.
Ripping off some of his tightest flows ever. I want to give a shout out to the features on here too. I've already mentioned Common, but Zane is perfect on the Dance Ready for More. Truthy Nola is a great addition to the bouncy track Pony Ride, and a young Mos Def enters the scene with the head-knocking Big Brother beat. The album hits its climax on the penultimate track, Stakes is High. Produced by Jay Dilla, this is probably the most iconic song of the entire album, and for a good reason. This might just be the most serious track here, with the group really taking...
The other important thing about this album too was that there was a scene happening, a coalescing in underground rap that, you know, people like Mos Def and Kweli, and, you know, if you went further into the raucous side, like Company Flow, R.A. the Rugged Man, like there was this whole thing happening. Like the Sound Bombing tape was representative of it, and the Lyricist Lounge was representative of it. This thing was bubbling up, and it was in contrast to the shimmering, shiny stuff that was going on in mainstream rap at the time, with Bad Boy and Biggie and all of that. And De La, with this album, while maintaining their status as like established major label, you know, dope rap that's connected to, like, you know, True School or whatever you want to call it, they were also very intentionally linking with people like Mos Def and Common, like the leaders of this new school, for lack of a better term. And so it sort of it was establishing this scene that was bubbling up as well by, like Def Goldblum said, meeting rap where it's at. It wasn't even just the criticism of the mainstream, it was also making sure that they were linking up with the heads that were rising up from the underground at that time. And like that sort of set the stage for what would become like the Soulquarians, like where you got the Roots and Mos and Kweli and Erica Badu, and JD, who was part of the sound of A Tribe Called Quest, Pharcyde, De La Soul. So this album really was one of the first major label or that high profile level of releases that set the table for the next generation of what like the native tongues movement looked like when you had this new crop of underground heads that came up after the original movement. So so these were like the children of Tribe, De La, Jungle Brothers that were established artists in their own right now, and De La Soul validating them helped validate the entire underground thing that was happening in the mid 90s.
Taking to heart the message and themes that they put on this whole record. This song is their thesis statement. In a 2009 interview with LA Weekly, Paz had this to say about what the song meant. I think the energy that we put into that song was similar to what Marvin Gaye put into What's Going On. I look back on people like that and think about how they had that moment of clarity, where they looked around them at things clearly decaying in their society, whether it's music or life. That's where Stakes is High was at. And on this song, Paz even shares that the native tongues have officially been reinstated. So if there's any question about whether true art and hip-hop will prevail, these guys have it covered. And after they take their point home on this song, they end it all with the most hopeful note of the entire album, with the song Sunshine. Even though they don't like where things are at right now, every morning comes with sunshine. This is probably De La Soul's most mature work, and as I get more matured myself, it speaks to me more and more. I'm not sure if it's my favorite of their albums, because all of their first 4 albums really are perfect to me, but there might not be a better way to end a run this spectacular than by meeting the stakes way up high and making another masterpiece.
Greenhouse Saints for the sun.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know down in the comments
Professor Sky, one
what
of his
is
patrons.
your favorite song off
Cute
of
no
this
rap
album.
name.
And if there's any other classic albums you want to see me make a video on, let me know that as well. Shout out to De La Soul, man. They are just the greatest.
Maury is
still
still
doing
alive.
it too.
He's like
Their
80
last
something.
album that came out last year was pretty great as well. As always, this video was up early a few days over on my Patreon. So
shout out to Def Goldblum for the video covering Stakes is High turning 30 years old. When De La Soul posted about the album turning 30, I left a comment saying that it was impossible to overstate what that album meant to me, how important it was to me. Some of my favorite rap songs ever are on that album. Like you said, Didn't It? Long Island Degrees is a song I always come back to. Sunshine's awesome. Big Brother Beat is awesome. Pony Ride is amazing. So I think that they just really started to establish the high watermark for what everybody was aiming to make between them and Tribe. I mean, Beats, Rhymes, and Life, like we said, is the album that came out at the same time. So like that was the era we were in. I always loved Stakes is High a lot better than Beats, Rhymes, and Life. And it's not an A to B comparison. But whereas there were moments on Beats, Rhymes, and Life that even though like the whole aim of it was to, be less whimsical and flighty and jazzy and get more, like I felt like Tribe was specifically trying to move more in the direction of like a Mobb Deep, because Q-Tip being from Queens and working with them, adding Consequence to the mix, it felt like he was very specifically trying to aim at that QB Queensbridge sort of gravity. But because of that, there's moments on Beats, Rhymes, and Life that are just like mad depressing sounding to me. And the parts that I enjoy is more what I would consider to be like the escapist sort of beats and songs, because that's what I always liked from Tribe. Like, they were always there in the hood, always surrounded by that element, but they always seem to point at something else. So when they're more directly pointing at the world outside the window, I never liked that as much from them. Even though the sound was always dope, that's just never the vibe that I wanted them to be in. Um, Whereas the moments that I truly enjoy on that album are, I won't say the happier songs, but the songs that are more creative and more imaginative than the ones talking about what was really going on in the hood. Um, but Stakes is High, even though I felt it was aimed in the same direction, it had more of a relatable balance all the way through it. So, like, yeah, you could tell that it wasn't gonna be as whimsical as their earlier De La Soul albums, but they didn't completely let go of the light really at any point on the album. I felt like there was still light in everything all the way through it, and those songs have always resonated with me. Like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.